Good evening. Welcome, folks. Welcome to Hunterdon Central. Classes of 26 and 27. Is that right? Am I doing the math? 26 and 27. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. This is our 11th, no, there you go. It's our ninth and 10th grade early college planning night. And I'm very much in 11th grade mode. And obviously I work with seniors every day too, because normally this program is held in December. We did reschedule. Thank you guys for holding out. We'll try to always keep this program in December. It's a good time because it's also the time where counselors are seeing freshmen in groups and sophomores in groups. So that's all happened. We'll talk about what it was entailed in that. But this was when we could reschedule it. So thanks for holding out. It's hard to believe we have surpassed the halfway point of the year. Let that sink in, even for the freshmen and the sophomores. And thank you guys for coming tonight and coming out and listening to this. It's flying by, another school year just flying by. So here we are past the halfway mark and here tonight to share some early college and career planning information with all of you. So we're going to get to some intros here. I'll start here. You've got quite a team of counselors that are going to be serving this class. I'm Jen Nectarline. I'm the college and career counselor here. I work mostly with our seniors and our juniors. That's where I spend a lot of my time. That first semester is just really crazy with seniors. And just recently, I opened up to starting to meet with juniors. So that's who I spend a lot of my time with. Every December, I get to meet the whole freshman class as we introduce them to SCORE, which is our college and career planning software. So we did that in December. Don't do a whole lot with our sophomores, but you'll see about some opportunities we have here at Central to engage with our college and career programming. So I'm located down on the 11-12 campus where juniors and seniors mostly are during their school day, but you're in good hands with a team of 3 counselors per grade level that work very, very closely with your students. So we have 3 counselors at the 9th grade level. Our 9th grade team, Adam Connolly, Carrie Kelly, who's here tonight, and you'll hear from her, and Jamie Bush, who is out on maternity leave, being replaced by Stephen Macri. So you're in good hands across the whole freshman team. And of course, same with our sophomore team. We've got a brand new counselor, not new to counseling, and a Hunterdon Central alumni. And I got to work with her when she was a student here. So the year, it's all coming full circle. But Carly Isabel Murin just joined us recently to replace our retiree Linda Kovacs, and she's off and running and just fantastic. So she's got the first part of the alphabet. And then Jacqueline Devlin and Julie Blake also covering the class of 2026. So those are the 6 counselors covering our 9th and 10th grade teams. They'll be following through all the way to senior year specifically with your child. Your students probably seeing their counselor, maybe has seen or will see very soon, because this is the time of year they are engrossed in the scheduling process for next year. So that is underway. Many of our students have scheduled or are continuing to, and of course our incoming 9th graders will do so soon. So your students are seeing their counselor for sure right now, along with many other times throughout the year that revolve around our curriculum. So great team of people working with your children as they go through this process. So, and again, I'll come into the mix a little bit more in junior year. I'll talk later on about what we did with those freshman and sophomore group sessions earlier this winter. But I want to start by, before I even get into what we're going to go over tonight, I'd love to know who I'm talking to. So how many 9th grade parents watching and listening? Wonderful. And 10th grade parents? Okay, great. So a nice mix. Has anybody been through this process before with another child and is back for round 2, 3, or endless rounds of this process? Okay, anybody going through it for the first time, and that's why you're coming out tonight. Wonderful. And I certainly, those of you at home, thank you for tuning in. Like all of our programs, we're live streaming this on HCTV Live. So you can watch it from home, tune in from wherever, and then once it's all done and over with, it'll be produced, recorded, and posted to the actual Hunterdon Central YouTube station. So if you are watching from home, we have an opportunity for you to engage just like the people who are here. At the bottom of every single slide, you will see a link that you can type into your phone, your iPad, your computer to be able to ask a question. Now, those of you here tonight, we will try to break just before 8 p.m. with our formal program, and we'll do about a 10-minute Q&A. That will stay on our live recording, so those of you at home will hear all the questions being asked. But if you're out here in the audience tonight, live audience, and don't want to raise your hand, you can use the link as well. Those of you at home, again, type it in. I guess I'll find out if there's problems. Maybe one of my colleagues here will test it, but we've been using this system for a while. So that will push right into a Google spreadsheet, and I'll answer as many of those questions as possible at the end of our program. So here's what we're going to do tonight. We've got the why we're here, why we think it's important to do a little bit of early college planning and to get thinking about this process early on. I'm going to have Carly and Carrie come up and each talk about their specific grade levels. Carrie with the freshmen, Carly with the sophomores, and then I'll bring Carrie back up. We'll do a little back and forth, and she'll talk to you about four-year planning. The four-year planning, building your four-year plan, scheduling, academic planning, all of that is, the experts are our grade level counselors, so she'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. And then I'll come back up and just cover some very surface topics, things that we like for 9th and 10th graders to be thinking about, like the activities they're engaging in and how they're spending their time. What is a major, what's a career, and how do you even engage and start thinking about those things as an underclassman? We'll touch a little bit on building a college list, but keep in mind, I just stood at this podium a couple weeks ago with junior parents, and we really got into it. So all of this tonight is very much surface. There is no assignments, there's no tasks. You're not missing anything. Just being here tonight or listening or watching this program later on is just good, getting good information. So there's no task. Don't let any of this overwhelm you like, 9th graders, we got to build a list. You really don't. You just want to get thinking about it. But if you're ready, this is what's here for you. We'll talk about searching, how to search for colleges, if you're ready to start physically visiting, a little bit about testing, paying, and then I'll go over at the end all of the things that are coming down the pipeline so you know what to expect at each grade level as far as our college and career programming goes. Again, if you have questions, you can pop them into our link here, but we'll take them all at the end. All right, so this is what I like to begin with, the how and the where. And this is the number one question I get from parents, even from students, is where do we start, how do we start? In fact, we just met with the entire junior class in group sessions, and this is what I started with. I said, we're gonna start with the bare bones. Some of you may have been thinking about college since 7th or 8th grade, and some of you may have absolutely no clue to where to start. So we start with, what do we do first? And I'll say with 9th and 10th graders, it's a little different than a junior, and I'm just glad you're here to even absorb the information. But this is the common question I get is, how do I begin this process and where do we begin? So touching and just thinking about all the areas we cover tonight is, you are ahead. Just know you're ahead. And then people often want to know what's going on in the admission world that's going to impact our kids. The admission world was kind of upended almost 4 years ago. Can you believe that March 2020 was almost 4 years ago? And it was really upended, kind of turned on its side, and college admissions really will never be the same post-pandemic. We're always getting hit with new trends and new changes. I mean, right now I am living, eating, and breathing changes with the FAFSA and the financial aid process and how that's significantly impacting families. So these are the things that we get the most, and we'll try to cover that tonight. You're gonna hear me talk about trends at just about every evening program because I'm a bit of a college admission data geek. I really love this stuff. I read a lot about it. I spend a lot of time thinking about it and acting on it and advocating for it. So I will talk trends at other future programs a little bit more, but you'll hear me intertwine some things about how the pandemic impacted standardized testing and showing interest to colleges and things like that. So we're going to get to all of those things. I'm just going to remove this little bit of a distraction. So here's the why. You are here tonight. There's obviously some vested interest in thinking about this process earlier. I don't think it's ever too early, but I also think there has to be a healthy balance between kind of forcing on your child, 9th, 10th grade, if they are not emotionally, mentally, socially, physically ready to go out and start doing this process, there's no need to push it on them. It really does have to be buy-in from everybody because it's not too late junior year to go, oh, okay, future, college. It's not even too late senior year. I'll have seniors coming in my office in the next few weeks going, can I still do that college thing? Absolutely. There's colleges with room, there's money to be had. You can make this process work at any point in time. But if we pull back a little bit to the 9th and 10th grade year and just get thinking, if we know college is in our future, we know we want to be successful and earn a bachelor's degree and do all of those things, it's never too early to start thinking. So the earlier you have an understanding of this process, like there's probably things I have to do at a certain time, like I've got to take the SATs. That should probably align with when I'm taking a certain math course. Or my family's going to the Carolinas this summer. I'm 14. Is it too early to see a college campus? No. I mean, if you're making the 12, 13-hour trip going south, stop by and see a college campus. You can do this casually with no immense amount of pressure, and even those activities are a good early start. So just the earlier you grasp onto what's involved and the steps that it takes to be a successful college applicant, make a successful transition, the better off you're going to be. I will tell you this, the second bullet, the transition from sophomore year to junior year, the time seems to really shrink. And I'm seeing that my own kids, my kids are younger, and a couple more years and one's going to be here, which is really hard to process. But I'm seeing it just, you've raised your kids, you see the age brackets. Right now I feel like a professional chauffeur. I'm like a ping pong ball around Flemington. I'm just taking them everywhere because they can't drive. And then it'll be something else. And then it'll be taking the car and hanging out with friends. And all of a sudden, the hours of the day just disappear. I see that a lot. I'm sure my colleagues here who are so experienced could speak to that. 10th to 11th grade, the time seems to shrink. So as a 9th or 10th grader, if you're freshman or sophomore, or students, if you're interested to get on campuses now, they don't change that much in 2 or 3 years. Get out and see them, because you will find that the time shrinks to get out there and truly do full-on campus visits. We have our breaks from school. I'll talk a little bit more about visiting. We have our breaks. We're very generous here. Juniors and seniors get 3 excused days per year to visit colleges. I think that's really generous, and it's a testament to how important we think it is for students to go out and visit, but then it's like, I'm missing 4 blocks a day of work, even though it's excused. So time is precious in junior and senior year. It's limited. They're working, they're involved in clubs, they're holding leadership roles, and all of a sudden you're not seeing them till 10 o'clock at night, and there's still homework to be done. So if you can fit it in 9th and 10th grade, because there's buy-in, because there's interest, by all means, spend some time researching, spend some time doing virtual tours, on-campus tours, because things aren't going to change that much in 2 or 3 years. And then I think altogether, the more you do now, the less stressful it's going to be in senior year. There's always going to be some heightened level of anxiety and stress in senior year. I like to think we do a pretty good job here of laying out a pretty neat and easy to follow process to actually apply to college, not even to apply, to prepare to apply. We start that now with our juniors, but there's always going to be some level of stress and anxiety because it's new. Seniors never applied to college before. I always tell students, when you're embarking on something new, if there's not stress and anxiety, then what is it? I mean, it's new, it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking. So there's going to be that in senior year, but it can be less if there's steps taken leading up to senior year. And sometimes that can just be in junior year, but some of our students are ready. They're ready in 9th and 10th grade. I saw evidence of it. Carrie Kelly and I and the freshman counselors, we were in this very room for 2 solid long days in December, but they were fun. We saw the whole freshman class with their PE class. We were seeing 60, 80 kids a block. They were in here and they were excited to get registered for SCORE, our college and career software. They had questions, they had comments, they had thoughts. They're 9th graders. Now that's not every 9th grader, but we meet them where they're at. You're in SCORE, you're building a college list, great. That will come up in their meetings with their counselor. And the ones who aren't thinking that, no problem. We'll get you there. We'll meet you where you're at in junior year, senior year, and maybe it's not a college option for you. Maybe it's one of the many other options that we guide our students on. So you can do some things now, some really casual things, some easy things. You can even try to make it fun so that by the time senior year arrives, it's like, well, we did that. We got to those campuses. We took the SATs when it was right for Johnny. We checked the boxes early on. So thanks for being here, because just being here tonight, listening in, shows there's some level of interest. And maybe you're sitting here tonight going, well, I'm here, but my kid isn't here. That's okay. That's okay. Take it back to them in small doses, All right. So what do we need to do this process? I can't stress organization enough. This is the calendar. Get the calendar out, because everything's got a date. College open houses, college visits, when you can get off, when your kids are off, standardized tests, registration deadlines so you don't get stuck with another $25 late fee. Everything has dates. So please consider a shared calendar, consider at least a seasonal calendar, like, hey, okay, spring of 2026 is when you're likely going to take the SATs. So calendars, College Board puts calendars out years in advance. Block that Saturday. Saturdays are busy. So look at breaks. The school calendar releases in the spring for the next year. Okay, when is there an in-service day where you have off? I can grab that Friday from work. Let's plan a 3-day weekend and go see some schools. That early planning, calendar planning is going to be essential. Carly and Carrie are going to come up and talk about kind of tasks at each grade level, and I don't even put a month to them. I don't think it's fair to, because every student is individual, but they'll talk kind of timeline-wise, here's the things we want to go over in each grade level, and they have to work with your child's timeline. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Another significant critical tool in the process is using SCORE, and at this point, everyone has it. So if you've never heard your child mention SCORE, that's okay. That's the SCOIR. It's pronounced SCORE. SCORE is a fantastic, intuitive, innovative college and career planning software program. We actually just brought it on full-blown 2 years ago, and for years and years we were using another platform, which was great, but we have to meet students where they are, and SCORE is really the cutting edge right now of college and career planning. So freshmen got their account in December. Through their PE class, and if they didn't, or they're missing their account or confused what's SCORE, they should definitely talk directly with their grade level counselor. And of course, our sophomores did that same freshman interaction group with us last December. So sophomores absolutely have it. The whole school's on, teachers have accounts, staff have accounts. It's a fantastic tool. It allows for very robust career searching and assessments to link you to careers based on your interests, and then the college piece is extensive. I'm going to take you guys on a demo through it, but a really critical website. It's an account, so it's their Hunterdon Central SCORE account. They log into it with their school email and a password of their choosing, and they have it all 4 years. If your student is college-bound, they will find themselves probably accessing that account significantly in the second half of their junior year and probably daily in senior year. So if they're on that trajectory, it's time to get pretty involved with it so they can get comfortable using it. And I think the interface aligns really well with more modern websites that teenagers are used to. It's got some social media kind of influences as far as feeds and liking colleges. So it's pretty fantastic, and it has an app. So if they're on their phones, they can be on SCORE there too. All right, so another tool is the 4-year plan. Carrie's going to go into this. Our counselors are pros at this. I think we do the 4-year plan like no other high school. I mean, other high schools say, we have a 4-year plan. I see how they color code these things. It's really something, and it's a working backwards plan. Where do you want to be? Let's work backwards, because we never want to get to senior year and go, oh darn, we should have taken that class to get to that class. So it's a working backward plan. Every student has one, and Carrie will talk about that, but that's a pretty important tool in this process. And then the last one, and probably one of the more challenging ones, is just kind of staying on the same team. I see things junior year when parents come in for meetings, which is really common. I've got a lot of parents on schedule with their juniors right now. Everything's all pleasant, all's well, and then senior year comes. And then this part of senior year comes where the decisions are coming in, the money starts coming up, the distance, all of the grades start to become an issue, the senioritis kicks in, a lot of things that can fuel the fire, and it gets disjointed sometimes because now it's here. Like, I'm leaving in 6 months, 8 months to go to college, and my parents and I are on 2 completely separate platforms about where I'm going and what I'm doing, and we're trying to be that medium. So if you can keep an open dialogue, students, if you're listening, I see you out there watching this later, be honest with your parents about what you want, and parents, be honest with your students. This is what we can afford. This is feasibly how far I'm willing to let you go. Let's talk about options within this radius. That honesty really helps. It helps us try to solve and mend things with especially in the spring of senior year when things get really intense, because the actual completion of this process is here, and making a college decision is big. And I will tell you, one of the biggest fuels to that fire is the finances. So the more transparent you can be in this open dialogue with your kids, the better. This is what we can afford. This is where we're at, and just being totally honest, including the counselor in those things. Just want to give you a heads up. You don't have to tell them we spoke, but this came up talking about college, and I think you should know, and they'll tuck that away for their next meeting. That knowledge is so important. Never hesitate to reach out. Just say, even sending a quick email. Even things like keeping the teachers in the loop. When we're talking about level changes, student wanting to go up a level, down a level, and seeing how appropriate that is. So there's a lot of people involved, but open dialogue is really key, and I'll just attach back into that I said earlier, is not pushing this process on a 9th or 10th grader. This is kind of all optional tonight. We think early college planning is important. In my 16 years here, we've sensed a need for it. I mean, I remember when I started here, we didn't have this night. We weren't putting as much into 9th and 10th grade, but it really grew in need. 9th and 10th graders wanted to know more, and we thought, well, would they be better off junior and senior year? Yeah, they are better off because they know that what's coming rather than just throwing it all on them. Like when I met with the juniors last month in groups, a lot of what we talked about, they've heard it. They heard it as 9th graders, they heard it as 10th graders, and now it's here. So nothing was really overwhelming and new to them. So those are the things I think we need. That's kind of our introduction here, and we'll just keep going forward. So now I'm going to bring up Carrie from our freshman team who's going to run through 9th grade for you. Don't look at the slide and think, we haven't done some of those things. You're fine. You are fine. Take it away, Carrie. Reminder for those of you watching from home, at the bottom of every slide, you will see a link. Pop it into your phone, iPad, computer, and feel free to submit a question.
Good evening. As Ms. Nectarline said, my name is Carrie Kelly. I am fortunate to be a member of the class of 2027, and I'd love to have an opportunity to tell you about what we do with our freshmen. And it certainly isn't everything on this list behind me, but some of it happens organically and naturally as well. So the most important thing is that we get to know our freshmen, and they get to know us. And that takes time, and that we meet with them. We go to the 8th grade and we say hello, and then in the 9th grade in the summertime, we're here to introduce ourselves again, and we have meetings, and it takes time, but it's a wonderful, important process because we will be with them for all 4 years. We do write their letter of recommendation for colleges. I've been here long enough where I can confidently say that we really do have a wonderful impact. Alumni come back and they come back and they tell us about their journeys, and that they're comfortable coming back to tell us, I think says a lot. So meeting with us is important, and we send passes to the students, which is something maybe that they didn't experience in middle school. Maybe some of you didn't even ever meet your counselor in middle school, and that's okay. But you have to meet with us here, so that we can present these things to you. So in our next meeting over the next couple months, we will be creating a 4-year plan, and I'm going to get into that planning a little bit later on the presentation. But basically, and we will share it with you, and we'll share it with the student. You guys are editors, and you'll be able to ask your child to share it with you as well. Looking at a 4-year plan, like Mrs. Nectarline said, covering your graduation requirements, but also looking at, hey, where do you think you want to be in 4 years? And some have no idea. Some do have, well, I'm in between either social work or business. Oh, maybe you can combine them, make money helping people. Wouldn't that be great, guys? But so it's great just to talk and then put some ideas down on the 4-year plan. And that's brainstorming with us. And all along the way, we, and I know you guys are too as parents, encouraging them to get involved. Business. Well, we have Future Business Leaders of America Club. Have you checked it out? Environmental or engineering, we're always constantly plugging for our clubs and activities that are here. We automatically, everyone gets to take the PSAT, and my freshmen, you'll get to take it again, which is kind of cool to see your growth over 2 years. The neat thing about the PSAT is that it links you with free resources on the College Board. Make sure both you and your child know your College Board account, how to log in, the password, and all that, because that's something we can't help you with. That's something to keep a good record of, and all the free resources that come with that. We have gotten them on score, as Ms. Nectarline says. We were in this very auditorium right before Christmas giving out candy for kids that would volunteer. And we will come back to score at the end of this year just to remind you, hey, can you log on again? Make sure you know how to do that so your child can invite you to join their score account. So even if they don't remember what it is right now, we will be talking about it again. Carly's going to talk about what they did in December with SCORE. So you don't have to get on it right now, but you can if you want to. I think the financial piece is something that, that's a real huge family decision. So just beginning to talk about it and think about it and look at it honestly and to start having those little conversations. RVCC isn't a dirty word. It's a great, great option. So is a gap year, and even thinking about utilizing some of our Polytech programs. That's just all talking about it right now. And what else are we going to do at the end of freshman year? We're meeting with every single freshman. We have the scheduling piece is really important, and we'll come back to that with the 4-year plan. But it's important on many different fronts, and I know this is the week that my class is scheduling. You're in the process of it. It closes for you on Thursday. That's okay. I have until mid-March to meet with every single student to make sure they scheduled correctly. And if we need to make changes or additions, so we have time. We have time on your end. You have a very short window, but then it opens to us and we can make changes. So I know it might feel rushed that you only have these 4 days to do it, but please don't worry. And that's where that communication piece comes in great, to shoot us an email, or when we're meeting with your student, if they go home and say, hey, I met with Mr. Connolly today, and this is what we talked about. We can always follow up with that. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. So in a blink of an eye, my class of 2027 will be sophomores. So Miss Carly just joined us, and she's going to go over a little information about the 10th grade timeline.
Hello, I am Carly Isabella Murin, and I just joined the sophomore class of 2026, happily. So I am going to talk a little bit about the sophomore timeline. My caseload, I am spending a little more time with my students, just getting to know them, because it is the first time that I'm meeting them. So that's just an FYI for the students on my caseload. However, if you're a current sophomore, you should have met with your counselor already in the start of the year, and we are now doing that again for scheduling. Our scheduling closed on last Saturday, but we are now meeting with every student to make sure that they have their requests, and we are working on that 4-year plan, which Carrie's going to go into a little more detail. I don't want to give away too much, but we are going to look at that 4-year plan and look at graduation requirements and the courses that your students are interested in taking into their junior and senior year. Another thing to keep in mind is keeping track of your activities. As everyone keeps mentioning, in the blink of an eye, we have 5 months left of school, maybe a little less, and our sophomores will be juniors. So it is important that you are continuing to keep track of all of the activities that you're involved in, or if you're looking for an activity to be involved in, you can always come and chat with us. It is perfectly okay to be part of things within our school community, but also the greater community outside, whether it's working or volunteering. So just making sure that you are keeping track of all of those things that you are involved in. As far as taking the PSAT, sophomores took the PSAT. They will be taking it again as juniors in the fall. That's something to keep in mind. And then all of the testing, the standardized testing, SATs, ACTs, things of that nature, is all individualized. If you have questions regarding any of that testing, again, that communication piece, we're going to continue to hit hard on that. Please reach out to us. I will say, being a new staff member here, I have had plenty of students reach out to me, which is great. It seems like something that we are really good at here, so I commend the counselors for making that the norm. But please, as parents too, if you are looking to talk to someone or you have a question, please reach out. We're happy to work with you. And also, I'm happy to share some of those four-year plans with you too as we work on scheduling with our sophomores. Continue to research post-high school plans. That's something that we talk about each time we meet with our students. Again, it's important to think about not only what you're good at and maybe some of your strengths, but really looking into what are your interests? What are some things that you've thought about? And maybe you don't know yet, and that's okay, and that's why we're here. And I think that's where it's really important too. If you are thinking about visiting colleges, you know, what can they offer you? Talking to Jen and just keeping everyone on your team about, you know, what your interests are related to post-high school plans. Certainly, if you're ready, you can start visiting colleges. Again, if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us. I loved the thought of if you are in the area and you have the time to just casually visit a campus, you certainly don't need an appointment. So there are plenty of campuses in New Jersey, very, very close, within reach here. So if you have the time or availability to just visit local schools, just to get a feel for what it's like to walk on campus, it's always a good idea. There's also a number of virtual college programs and college fairs. And maybe Jen, you can answer this better than I can, but I feel like colleges more now than ever have so many virtual tours available. And that really started up during COVID, but it's really great. They have really, really nice videos of full campus tours answering a lot of questions about the different schools and what they offer and the programs. So really, just taking some time to go online and research is always a good idea as well. So the sophomores, what they did on SCORE in December, they took a series of self-assessments, and they have access to all that information. So kind of what Carrie was mentioning before, so all of those assessments that they've already taken, they have all of the results for that. So please ask your student if they could share that with you, or at least talk about it, because they have a lot of the information available to them on SCORE for some of the self-assessments that they've already done. In addition, they should continue to explore SCORE as we're moving on through the school year and certainly into their junior year. So I think that's it.
Maybe a junior in 5 months. So when we talk about, I thought you were going to come up with me. So when we talk about the 4-year plan, it's very exciting. And as Ms. Nectarline loves to talk college, I love to talk 4-year plans, because I think it's a great way for us to communicate and plan for the exciting things that are up ahead. And the number one thing that colleges look at is your transcript. And my freshmen are just about to get one, and a transcript is like a report card. It's a very official, pretty report card with final grades and the name of the course you took, your final grade, and how many credits you earned. So you guys that just finished PE 9 and maybe a quarter elective, you have that. So we're going to have to get those printed so we can show you your transcript. Colleges look at that transcript. Yes, they look at the grades. Yes, they look at what you took. And those two things, over the 4 years that you're here, the whole transcript is what tells them the most information about you. Going to college is an academic endeavor. So you're going there to continue your studies, your academic career. So they're looking at that over time. That's something we try to keep in mind as we're individualizing each and every plan for our students. What are they taking, and how well will they do in what they're taking? Are they challenging themselves in their strengths? Are they doing too much challenging of themselves? Do they have enough balance? Do they have too much balance in one way or the other? So really, and Are they taking things that interest them as well? Yes, there's things you have to take, but I think we can always relate something to something and make it a connection somehow. So going off of that, this idea of challenging yourself, this rigor, it's different for every student, and it is a journey, and it's something you have 4 years to experience here. If you came in here and you don't have a single honors class or a single AP, that's okay. The goal is to get you there by the time you're a senior, to get you ready for college level work. And man, Central does that really well. Our teachers are phenomenal, and the curriculum is strong, and we will get you there. If you're ready for all honors, you're ready, and go for it. We will support you in that, and we can offer that as well. But it's different for every single child. And the other important thing is that rigor can go like waves too. It can progress, get harder and harder as you go, or you can take a risk and then change your mind and go back down and then try another area and go back up. The journey is just as important. In this 4-year plan, we automatically block off your graduation requirements, but you'll notice the second bullet there. We strongly encourage students to plan for academics all 4 years. That's math all 4 years, science, social studies, world language, and English. So even though English is the only one that's required all 4 years, colleges want to see 4 years of academics across the board. We encourage that. Now, back to the first point, if, let's say, social studies isn't your thing, and you got through US 1, US 2, and global studies, you're done. Nothing more interests you. As a former social studies teacher, my heart breaks a little bit, and I'll try to convince you otherwise. But I also understand that maybe science is your thing. So maybe you're going to take not only a 4th science, but maybe we have so many cool science electives. So maybe you'll take 5. That every child is different, and it's okay. World language is a tricky one because, how many people have the gift to be multi-language speakers? But, it's not everybody, but we have a fantastic program here where you can plan all 4 years, or you can take 2 and be done, or try that 3rd and then be done. It's okay. It's okay, but we would want you to challenge yourself in the areas where you are stronger. By the time you're a senior, when you have that huge transcript with all these courses, we hope at some point those electives should reflect you and what you have found out about yourself along the way. Maybe you are that science person. Maybe you are that future teacher, and you're taking the early childhood and teachers of tomorrow and psychology. So hopefully your transcript will reflect that. We have a ton of great business classes, engineering, robotics. So hopefully when you are applying to colleges on your essay and in your activity list and your transcript, everything matches. It kind of reflects. Or maybe it'll reflect that you tried a little bit of everything when you were here. Intro to broadcasting, intro to psychology, intro to culinary arts. That's why this 4-year plan is so important, so we can get those exploration pieces in freshman and sophomore year. That way, junior year, you can dive even a little bit more in depth in that. I mentioned this before. There can be academic level movement throughout high school. What is the most important conversation is to talk about that with your teachers. If you are passionate and you want to try Honor Spanish 2 next year, talk to your current Spanish teacher and say, hey, what do you think? Do you think I have the skills? What would I need to work on? I had a student that left my office this morning, and he was interested in the biomed program. He hasn't started it yet. And I said, well, biomed, well, what do you think about honors biology next year? Me? I'm like, yeah, you have an A in CP, Earth and Environmental. They're totally different subjects, but why don't you talk to your teacher? And the teachers know their curriculum. And if they've never taught bio, they can get a friend who has. So our teachers here are passionate, and they'll be straight up and honest. This is what you will have to do in honors biology for you to be successful. And it doesn't just have to be a one-time conversation. You can bring it up again and again. Tutorial is a great time to have that conversation. After school, one-on-one with your teacher, just talking about your goals and your hopes and your desires. So, and of course, us counselors, we can help you with those conversations too. The most important thing is that this plan changes. And I keep telling my own students when I'm meeting with them, they're editors, they have editing rights on this plan, but you can't change my colors. Ms. Nectarline mentioned my colors. The colors coordinate to graduation requirements. So don't be touching my colors. Like pink's gotta stay. Pink is history, okay? Social studies. Don't wanna see any more pinks. But the scheduling time has begun. We've seen a couple kids before it opened, but really we can't see all 200, unfortunately, right before you're doing your piece. But we do meet with them, all of them, to make sure it gets covered. This link, I'm afraid to touch it. Should I touch it? This link goes to the program of studies. Now, on our 4-year plan that I'll share with you also has this link. And why this program of studies is important, because it lists all the departments we have. Of course, I'm going to click on social studies. And it lists what is required. There's a little video, but you can look at what's required each grade level. And then you can also see the amazing electives and read. Did I click on science instead? No, I didn't. I did do social studies. So lots of information here. And we drill this into the students' heads. We drill in prerequisites, what grade levels things are open to, what you have to take before you get to that class, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, Mrs. Nectarline, is this the one? No. Thank you. Look at me. So that's the program of studies, gives important information about prerequisites. That way, if I have a student, I had a student tell me today he wants to do accounting. His parents have some businesses. Well, we can do accounting. You can do accounting 1, sophomore year, and then accounting 2, junior year, and be done. But if you hold off and do accounting 1, junior year, you could get college credit for it. Dual enrollment. He's like, oh, I kind of want to take it next year and see if I'd like, okay, that's what, you do you think about it. But if it's the age level with RVCC. So they have to be, I think, 16 or, be a junior in high school. But wow, what opportunities for you and for your student to take college level classes. And that's on our website too, an entire thing page dedicated to dual enrollment. So we talk about that on the 4-year plans too. Oh, was that it? I want to talk more about 4-year plans. So the other thing on the 4-year plans, the colors. So graduation requirements. It's just one of many ways of how we keep track of graduation requirements. Students have to have 5 credits of fine arts, and they have to have 5 credits of, it's called 21st century career skills. I had a kid ask me today, what does that mean? And I say, well, I think it's the state of New Jersey saying you have to do some exploration of what you might want to do when you leave high school. So we kind of break down those different ideas, and it's great to have the students explore as much as they can. The other graduation requirement is financial literacy. So at some point you have to take that. And that's a big debate in your own homes, I think, thinking about, do you want your student to just take it and get it over with? Or do you want it to be more towards senior year where it's a little more meaningful, like buying a car, paying for college? It's up to you. And it really is a family decision, but we'll keep track of that. So you don't have to worry about that. We will make sure they graduate, even though we don't want them to a lot of times. We want them to stay. But 4-year plans, we will be they're created. We're going to be sharing them with you, and then you can ask your child to share it with you as well. And it all ties into extracurricular activities. You're welcome. That was fun.
I don't know where else you'll find a group of counselors that get this excited about color-coded 4-year plans. So just meet us where we are and understand there's good reason behind it. It's really critical. I mean, by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're in that dock. They know what it looks like. They know what to expect. They know where the holes are that need to be filled, and they really have ownership over it. So thank you both. Lots of good knowledge and experience there. So now we're going to get to that kind of list we showed earlier of all the topics, and we're just going to skim the surface. This is just me saying what's important to touch on in 9th and 10th grade. So this is activities. Now I could probably do a whole program on this. I do get on my, they know, because this is it. I mean, I talk a little differently in junior and senior year about activities because it's right there. Like we are now going to present how you spend your time when you're not in this school to colleges or to a future boss or to a military recruiter or whatever you're doing after you leave here. So I'm probably going to say some pretty similar things because I think you should know them early on too. I'll start by saying this. To me, well, I know it's on here, everything counts, third bullet. To me and to colleges and everybody out there, for the most part, anything that can't fit on your transcript, with a few exceptions, is an activity. Now, what students are doing academically is on their transcript. It's a really lovely, beautiful PDF document that goes out to colleges or to a future employer or anyone that needs to see how a student has done academically. It's a file, a picture that shows all the courses they've taken, the grades they've earned, and their cumulative GPA weighted if they've taken weighted classes. That document represents what a student does for 10 months out of the year, Monday through Friday, from 7:30 to 3 o'clock. That's all that it represents. It doesn't show anything else. The transcript's not showing us how they spend their time when they're not with us during the regular standard school day, and that is where all of this comes in. So there's the exceptions. There's typical teenager activities. There's hanging out with friends. There's watching TV and movies. There's that sort of casual stuff that fits in wherever there's openings that they should be doing. But most other things that your students are doing are going to fall into this activity bracket. What is the easy stuff to say is an activity? Clubs, sports, both in and out of Central, part-time jobs, volunteer work, structured summer programs. That's what we think of when we say you should get involved. You should see what clubs are there. Like we put on the slides earlier, yes, they should come to the opportunities where all of our student organizations come out. They should go to a club meeting or two and see if it's their vibe. But there's a lot of other things that students do that don't fall into a perfect little box. And that is the stuff that, especially post-pandemic, became a really significant part of students' applications. I'll start with basic family responsibilities because that looks different for so many students. For some students, it could be as involved as I've got to make sure I get on that bus and roll out of this campus at 2:10 because I know that my brother is getting dropped off and he's in 3rd grade. No one's home to get him. The bus stops a couple blocks and that bus is coming at 2:36 or 2:42. That's their responsibility. Then they got to get little brother in the house, make sure the homework gets done, little brother's fed, animals are fed, no one's coming home till 6 o'clock. And if that student's driving, they may have to get little brother to Taekwondo. So now we've got 3 to 4 hours immersed into family responsibility that we can't be at a club at Central that fits into a perfect box, at a job that has a perfect schedule. We have these kind of loose things we're doing that we think don't matter. Students often think they don't matter because they don't fit into a structured space. But they do matter. They're actually really significant because when a college is looking at an application and realizing, well, he, she, or they is doing things that don't quite fit the structure, like someone's not setting up a start and end time of a meeting or the start and end of a shift, not to say clubs and jobs aren't important, this student kind of has to figure out how to take care of little brother while maintaining themselves, and they're only 16 or 17 years old. So this stuff matters. Family responsibilities such as grandmother's living in your home. Grandmother's suffering from dementia. I've had multiple students care for ailing grandparents who are living in their home. I've had many students who work at the family business. It could be a restaurant, it could be a farm, it could be a retail store, and they think, well, does it really count? Like I go and yeah, my parents pay me, but yes, it's a job. It's promoting it's helping your family's means. I mean, it's significant. We have those things. And then we have a whole other sector of things called hobbies, talents, interests, and passions. Things students are doing on a consistent basis, but they're not under the umbrella of high school. They're not a part-time job. They're not with a group. They're just doing them on their own. Baking, cooking, reading novels. Oh, the readers. The way they read and read and read. I've read 320 books in 2023. I'm like, who has time for that, But they're pouring hours into the same consistent activity each week. Taking apart machines, putting them back together, building the sheds in the backyard with a parent. During the pandemic, that came up on a lot of applications. If there's hours, significant hours going into something that has meaning to you, it belongs on college applications as an activity. So when you know this, as a 9th or 10th grade student or parent, and you're watching your child or students, you're watching how you spend your time, start to build like a concept around this. Like, this is something colleges are going to want to know about me. This is really important. I would say 95% of the time when I have a senior or junior I'm working with that says, do you think I should include? Yes. Very rarely is it a no. I say, well, how many hours a week? Oh, I go to the gym every day after school. So that's like 60 minutes and then an hour. I guess I'm at the gym 6 hours a week. Oh, wait, I go on the weekends too. Sometimes I lift in my basement. It's just really important to me to stay in good shape. So now you're spending 8 to 10 hours a week on personal fitness, caring for your body, taking care of yourself. Yes, a college needs to know about it. And people are like, you mean like going to the gym, working out is an activity? Yes. It's an activity. So this is really important for students to understand this in 9th and 10th grade, that we want to do more than go to the gym. We want to have other things, but almost everything has purpose. There are just your normal teenage relaxing behaviors that are just, they'll stay off the applications. Colleges know you do them, but just about everything else has a purpose. Quality over quantity. We don't need a long list. We don't need the long list. Colleges can see right through that. They know there's only so much time in a day, in a semester, to fit in all of these clubs. So if you're just dabbling, I go an hour here, I go an hour there, maybe I skip a whole month and don't go to one of the meetings, you may not be an active participant. And by the time you get to junior year, that's when you start to filter and go, where does my time really belong? The focus is on 3 to 4, 3 to 5 core things. And if it's not 3 to 4, 3 to 5, and it's just one, and it's 30 hours a week at ShopRite, then that's it. We build that up. We focus on that. We package that on the application. So quality over quantity. We don't need well-rounded students. We need well-rounded classes. Colleges want a well-rounded class of freshmen. So this whole idea, my child needs to be well-rounded. We have to check every single box. They must do this. They must do that. No, they must do things that are important to them. They must do things they're passionate about, because then it's not forced. It doesn't feel like I have to go to, play my instrument that I've been playing since 4th grade because I have to show consistency. No, you have to show that you're passionate about things, and colleges can see through it when you're not. So important to you, not everyone else. And it's hard. It's so hard in 9th and 10th grade. And even as seniors mature, it's hard to drown out the noise of what everybody else is doing. So-and-so got an internship at this pharma company in the summer. I go, internships are for college students. I don't know when that became a high school term. When students say to me, I'm interning at this company, I go, you're shadowing. You're not an adult yet. Internships are for college students. If you are a high school student and you get an internship, somebody labeled it like that to make it sound more important. You're shadowing someone. So we don't intern, we shadow. We watch what people are doing, we absorb. We just learn what the industry is like. So you don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing. So-and-so is going to a 4-week summer program at an Ivy League institution. They're really getting an edge. No, they're really spending $7,000 on something that's going to have zero impact on their college admission process. So just do what is important to you. If making money because you want to soup up your vehicle or buy certain types of clothing or shoes that your parents say, you want it, you buy it, go get a job at an ice cream shop. Be a normal teenager. Get a job. It's usually the students who come in that are really high-powered academics. We have them, taking lots of APs, straight A's, internships, summer programs, just trying to pad everything to look even better. I go, what are you doing this summer? I don't know. I think I should work in a research lab. I go, I think you should go scoop ice cream. I think you should take advantage and be a teenager, because that's going to pop out on your college app. They're going to go, look at that kid who 10 months out of the year is just pounding the pavement in the academics. It's just, flipping pizzas in the summer. That's good stuff. So, and I'm a big advocate for work. I just think part-time jobs are really important. And I'll say one more thing that is not as significant. I genuinely enjoy serving others. I've introduced it to my own children who are still like middle school, late elementary school age. They enjoy it. We do it because we enjoy it. Please do not stress or push volunteerism on your child if they don't want to do it. There is no checkbox on a college application rubric or evaluation anywhere that says a student, an applicant, has to have volunteer hours. That's the number one extracurricular activity I get thrown at me multiple times a year. I'm so nervous. I'm doomed in the college process because I don't have volunteer hours. I go, where did that come from? Who started that idea that every student has to volunteer? You volunteer because you genuinely enjoy serving other people, not because it looks good for college. We got to get rid of that. It looks good for college. And freshmen and sophomores should know that. You're not doing things to look good for college. You're doing things to make you happy. That's going to make this high school experience far more fulfilling when you do things because you want to do them. Volunteering is not a requirement to get into college. There are high schools that have a volunteer requirement to graduate. Volunteering, if you like it, and for me it's fulfilling. My own kids are loving it. When can we go to the United Way again? They love doing that. But not everybody does. You don't have to do it, period. You don't have to do it. Summer experiences, I just talked about jobs. I think that, to me, is the most significant thing you can do in the summer as a teenager is work. Is just good old-fashioned work. It can be under the table cash, mowing lawns. It can be something as significant as taking care of someone else's child while they're gone. The kids call that, I just babysit. I go, you just take care of someone's kids when the parents aren't home. We don't just babysit. We're child caregivers. We boost that up on college applications. Summer program invitations. I actually get more inquiries about this from 9th, 10th, and 11th grade families than I do senior families because that's when they come out to you. That's what I just mentioned, the big intensive summer programs on college campuses that are going to cost you a couple $1,000s. I can say 99% of the time, right, folks, I'm telling families just don't do it. So usually you'll get this envelope in the mail and it's like a black shiny paper and it's got a fancy gold seal with it's raised. You open it up and out comes something that looks like a black tie wedding gala invitation. You have been honored. You have been selected to spend $4,995 on this one-week program. And we're like, so we always know when they've come out because the emails come in. Usually they'll forward them to me, Jen, this one. I go, no. Usually it's an acronym or a long title, and somewhere in the title are the following words: national or international, leadership, student, forum, something like that. And I look at this and I think, you've been honored to spend this money. Folks, I will tell you, it has absolutely no impact on the college admission process. If that money is just sitting around collecting dust and you're ready to ship your kid off for 1 or 2 weeks, go right ahead. There's probably going to be some value in it. They're going to get some enrichment. But if you think this is going to help them gain admission to a selective school, 100% no. If you do want your child or students, you want to engage in a college experience, like, hey, what would it be like to kind of experience dorm life or something like that? Or, you know what, I'm really liking that school up in North Jersey. They run an engineering camp in the summer. Just want to see what it's all about. It's $500, $700. My parents said they have it. Go. Put it on your college apps as a summer activity, making no impact on the admission process. But if it exposes you to a week of dorm life, college professors, engineering labs, a college schedule, go. Great experience. I like the ones that are held on college campuses, sponsored by a college, run by the college. Maybe they result in some college credit, but otherwise, trash and can the glossy envelopes because they're not worth it. Where can students keep track of everything they're doing? I'm going to show you in SCORE. There's a great place to track activities and accomplishments. If they're more of a notes app person or a Google spreadsheet person, that works too. But I will tell you, they get down to me senior year, junior year. I go, what'd you do in 9th, 10th grade? I forget. And this class, I'll ask my mom. I'll ask my mom. This class really forgets because freshman year was still kind of wonky, you know? So please encourage them to keep track of things and to really just think that everything they're doing has some value, except for your basic teenage things that we want them engaging in. What they do truly does have value, all right? We'll shift over here. Keep track of your questions. If you're watching from home, thank you. I see you as viewers. Link at the bottom of every slide to ask a question. I did see some coming in, so we'll get to those shortly. All right, I like to talk a little bit about majors and careers. I actually think some ninth graders don't even know what a major is. Like, what is the word major? It's a course of study. It's a path of study in college. Some students go into college undecided. It's perfectly fine. Always find out how the college is going to support you in that process. What are you doing for me in freshman and sophomore year to help me eventually zone in on something? Great questions as you visit campuses in the next few years. But it's okay to be undecided. I think it's the most popular major is undecided. I put some at the bottom. I'll talk about those in a minute. But how can we explore majors and careers? We can use SCORE. I've got a link to that. When I show you SCORE next, I'll show you where we go for that. The sophomore team, Carly's group, they did some career exploration groups, used SCORE. In December, January. So they got together with their sophomore counselors to do a little bit of career work. But I want to show you this. College Board is, if you're not familiar, you'll get familiar. They run the PSAT, the SAT, and AP, along with a couple other standardized tests, but those are the ones we touch the most. Aside from being the ones who run all those major standardized tests, they have a pretty good comprehensive college search tool. I mean, you have SCORE, that's our software, but then there's all these websites out there. I do think College Board does a really nice job with searching. The section of the College Board website where you can do your college searching and exploration is called Big Future. But on the College Board website, I have yet to see a site that does this better. They profile majors and they profile careers because a major and a career are two different things. I majored in psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a school counselor. They're distinctly different. I don't know how many of you, if you attended any form of higher education, are doing what your major was. There's some careers you have to. I mean, if you're a practicing engineer, practicing physician, chances are you majored in something. You went to medical school or nursing school. You majored in engineering. If you're a teacher, you got a degree in education, or maybe you went back for one. But not all align. So I like for students to start by just going into College Board and looking at majors. Oh, somebody told me this thing called digital media. I have no idea what that is. Is it social media? No, it's not. So you look it up here on College Board. College Board starts out with these larger clusters, and then they break it down. So for a student looking at this for the first time, they probably go, okay, I've heard of STEM, health, medicine. Wait, what is this? I like serving others. One of those students who's doing volunteer work because they really enjoy it. What is a public social service major? So they just go in and they start looking around at all these different majors. Oh, public health. You mean I can do something in health that's not actually like taking blood and performing surgery? So here's the major of public health. College Board gives you like a nice little blurb about it. Talks about what you might study in high school or in college. So immediately look at that and go, I don't even know how to pronounce these words, I'm out. Or you start to keep going down the page. What can I do with this degree? Here's some different career paths. These are areas I might specialize. What are the requirements? So on and so forth, okay? Back up here immediately links you to colleges that offer it. So this is available for every single major out there. If I go back, STEM is just hugely popular. But what is STEM outside of majoring in biology and engineering? There's the tech field, there's the math field. If you love numbers, see what you can do with that besides studying math or statistics. There's so much more you can do with it. So here's all of these different majors. And again, you go and you click on one, and we go the major of math. Okay, here's what I'm studying. Here's what I can do. Well, what is an actuary? That's a major I get every once in a while. What exactly do they do? So you see, you can spend quite a bit of time kind of getting lost in this site, learning just what majors are. Now, let me jump back, okay? So we have a student who says, okay, that's majors, but this is what I actually want to do. I want to be that. So here we have career profiling. And again, I'm right over to the College Board site, and here they can take an assessment. We also have one in SCORE. They can explore careers, they can do searches. So they can just pop a career in, search it, get a whole profile on it. When they're looking at the career, they might go, that's exactly what I want to do. How do I get there? And it's going to list majors that get you there. So spend some time. This is great stuff for a 9th or 10th grader. 11th and 12th graders, it's like, I don't want them to miss this because by the time they're juniors and seniors, they just want to get to the college websites, the admission stuff. But great practice just for a 9th or 10th grader to kind of look around. Especially if they've been saying to you since they were in, elementary school, I've always wanted to do this. And they're so fixed on it that they're almost afraid to steer. Well, wait, Johnny, just look at all these other things that are like it. Let's just keep our options open, So I love this part of College Board. I highly encourage students to use it. Shadowing, volunteering, asking questions. If in your own networks or your family's, extended family's networks, you can get your student hooked up with a physician, with an engineer, with an architect, anybody who can just talk to them. Let them come in for a week in the summer and watch them in the office, get them connected with industry. That's all really good stuff. And then I just threw here some of the majors that come up a lot. This is in no particular order. I can't really think of anything outside of this list. A lot of what I hear in my office, and I meet with a lot of students, is encompassed kind of in these categories. Lots of allied health, lots of medicine, or saying, they say at 17 or 18, I want to be a doctor. And I say, well, let's rewind and let's back up a little. We've got undergraduate study. We've got medical school. We've got residency. Are you ready to be in school for another 10 to 12 years? Let's talk about the finances. Let's talk about the lifestyle. And they kind of rewind and go, okay, what else can I do? Well, we can talk about nursing. We can talk about being a physician assistant. We can talk about getting a nursing degree, going out and working for a little, and then advancing your BSN to an MSN or a nurse practitioner. Engineering's hugely popular. It's never going to go away. All the different areas of engineering come up constantly in our offices. Comp sci is really growing. A lot of the different things you can computer science is so broad. We're seeing some really nice trend in that. And then the liberal arts, they are not dying. They are not dying. The liberal arts are there. Lots of students interested in psychology. A little smattering of education here and there. Business is always going to be popular. I've got a lot: accounting, finance, economics, entrepreneurship. I want to be my own boss, real estate, pharma, sales. This is the stuff that we're hearing. So nothing outrageous. What's not on there? I get a lot of sports-related majors: sports management, sports marketing, sports journalism. I want to be an agent. I go, it's going to take you a while to get there. So let's start the basics, forensics, science. So nothing crazy outrageous. We will find schools. We will help them find schools. If they've zoned in on a major, it's great to know that because we can use it in our searching. All right. When you're ready, and that absolutely does not need to be in 9th grade, 10th grade. It might not even be for our juniors yet, and that's okay. But when you're ready, this would be your next level. We've talked about some career paths. We've talked about maybe some finances. We played around in SCORE. So what do we do now? How do we get from 4,000 colleges in the United States down to something manageable? I really should have had this slide next, searching and visiting, but I'll get there. You're going to have to do some searching to get to the list building. This is what a list looks like. A list at Hunterdon Central, our average, just our average, is 8 to 10 schools. We have students applying to less. I had a senior come in today. We were chatting. She had 4 schools. I went, you only applied to 4 schools? And I was like, 4? And there were some selective schools. She got into 2 of them. She's going to be just fine. But that's fine. 4 is okay as long as we make sure that they're all good. I mean, you got a good shot at them. And then I've got students in the teens. I've had students break 20. That's a lot of work. Just so you know, applying to that many schools is a lot of work. 8 to 10 is where students arrive because they do the work. They do their homework. They find a third of their list is probable, a third of their list is target, and a third of their list is reach. You will not get to this point till senior year. I've been meeting with juniors, and they're like, well, what are my probables? I go, I don't know your probables. You haven't finished the most critical year colleges are going to look at, which is junior year. It's the last completed year they see. I have no idea what your standardized test scores are, and if I do know them, are you submitting them? I don't know how you're going to spend these next critical 6 to 8 months of your life, which are the last major things you get to demonstrate in your college apps. I don't know what your probables are. I'll let you know in September. So the list is not something you should even be trying to achieve and categorize right now, even as juniors. But this is the point we want to get to. This is a healthy college list. And I will say this too, our seniors, you apply to colleges in your senior year. At whatever time is ideal for you, most of our students are doing it between September and December. That list can absolutely change. I had a senior in today at lunch, one yesterday at lunch, adding schools to their list with February 15th deadlines. Because the early results came in, things aren't quite going the way they thought, let's add a few more on. The list is very fluid, it will change. So you're not gonna go into senior year going, these are the 8, this is it. We're not doing any more, the credit card's closed. No, you've got to be flexible because the list very well could change in senior year. So right now, if you have one of those really active 9th or 10th graders who's like gung-ho college process, you may have a few toying around in your mind. There's your list. You're underway. It's okay if they're just hanging around in your head or just being passed over at the dinner table. That's a working list. You know, maybe we should go down and see Delaware. You know, cousin Judy told us about Pitt. She went there. Let's go check it out over the summer. That's a working college list. You're on your way. Eventually, you'll get it organized. You'll use SCORE, a spreadsheet, whatever works for your student and for your family. But that's a working process. Using SCORE, using the admission profiles. So going to the college website and seeing what the picture of the last incoming class looked like. We brought in 6,000 freshmen. This was their average SAT score, ACT score of those who submitted, their GPA, their class rank. We don't rank here. Most high-performing high schools do not. You can get a picture of what the whole group looked like coming in, and then you can also see through SCORE what our admits look like. That's going to help you categorize. We're also going to help you categorize. I mean, like I said, I wasn't sitting with seniors till September to say, okay, you've got enough probables, you're good on targets, you're good on reaches. What we want to avoid is the reach-heavy list, and that never seems to be a problem for a student to add too many reaches. We're the ones in charge of bringing them kind of back down to reality to say, if you want to have more yeses than nos, we're going to need to tweak this list. This is all stuff we're doing in senior year. So just awareness right now as a 9th or 10th grade student or parent is good. Listen to the counselors. They might make suggestions. They might even drop a college name in a freshman or sophomore meeting. You're talking about aviation. Oh my gosh, you've got to hear about this school in Florida. I know that runs a great flying program. They just want to put a name on there. I'll add it to SCORE for you. When you're ready, check it out. So that's the kind of dialogue that we're having, very casual. And with thousands and thousands of options, you're going to start with what's familiar. You're going to start with what you've heard, what you know, what the sweatshirts look like in and around Hunterdon County. We see a lot of the same names, the big mid-Atlantic state universities, the state schools in New Jersey, but there's so much more out there. And if you are open to your child going a little bit of distance or even a lot, like I've had parents say, you know what, we can get there. It might be a plane ride. We've got family on the West Coast, family down south. We're okay with them looking there. That's like music to our ears, because if we can get them out of this densely populated area that's just flooded with applicants from this high school, New Jersey, and show that there's so many great higher education opportunities all across the country, if you're open to it, they could land themselves in a really great place with merit money. So just keep that in mind. All right, this is where I should have started. Let me show you SCORE. So we got it 2 years ago. It's a fantastic site. Like I said, all students have an account. I'm going to log into my demo account, just take you on a really quick view of it because I want to make sure I save some time for questions and wrap up my content here by 10 of. So this is SCORE. They can do their career assessments in here. The feed down the center is going to build itself around what they prefer. So your student's homepage won't look like this. I've favorited some of these schools, so they're messaging me. I like some of these schools, so they're going to show me some of their events. So that's the page builds itself around what the student has indicated. When students first log in, one of the first tiles that comes up right here is a 2-minute kind of assessment or quiz on what their preferences for college are. They can take it. Once they take it, it disappears. But they can always go back and adjust those preferences. So if I go up in here into the Discover, I can find my last search. I can search for just 4-year colleges. I mean, the platform is so easy to navigate. And here, I could just start filtering things. So your student wants to be at a medium-sized school. They want to get bigger than Central, but don't want it to be overwhelming. So we filter that in. We look at our different locations. Okay, you want them nearby in the Northeast, but not necessarily down the road. So we're looking at schools in the Northeast. Maybe your student grew up in Hunterdon County and it's time for them to see something a little bit bigger, so we'll check city and suburbs. So you see what we're doing. We're filtering. And then they look at this and go, I've never heard of some of these. I can't even pronounce them. That's okay. Stick with it. Encourage them to click on the school. Fantastic Bentley University, top business school in the Northeast. Let's learn about it. So here's a little overview. Now, not every college and SCORE has this, but you can see they're one of the ones that have this whole virtual tour, and I'm not going to go into the details, but it pulls up a whole 3D thing of campus. You got students talking to you. It's pretty cool stuff. Let me get out of here, though, because I want to show you guys where am I at? Show you some other stuff. So I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to leave Discover. I'm going to go to My Colleges. After a while, they click on a school's page and SCORE. They like what they see. They follow it. It's like liking on social media. So I'm following 25 schools. Oh, there's Bentley again. All right, so I'm really into this place. Let me see how the students at Central have fared in the admissions process. So I'm going to go down here to admissions. If you guys are liking this, ask your student to add them to your account. I'll show you how they do that. So here's admissions. Hunterdon Central statistics right here, folks. We have a 48% admit rate. The students who apply there and get in average about a 1340 SAT or a 29 ACT. But let's look at a picture of it. Let's see how the last couple years have looked with Bentley. They just changed this view. I'm going to look at post-pandemic because everything's changed. 2021 to 2023, that's 3 classes worth of students, most recent, okay? This is the average GPA weighted of students who got in, so it's a pretty selective school. Almost a 1,300 SAT, the acceptance rate 67%, so it's a little bit higher. Here's me, okay? Your student will be identified on the scattergram once they have a GPA in score, which I add twice a year when GPAs update, and scores, standardized test scores. So if they take the SATs junior year, senior year, they'll get put in here. But you can still get an idea, where the admits fall, where the green dots are. So obviously, higher scores, higher GPA. Folks, you could be in here all day playing around. Let me show you how to get in here. I know we're running out of time. Up here in score, under me, if I go to view profile, again, I'm up here in me, view profile, this is where all your students' information lies. I'm gonna show you, if we go over here in this me area to activities and achievements, this is where they can add in their activities and keep a nice log of them. It's really good practice for what college apps are going to present to them. So again, I'm in the me section of score, activities, achievements. They have a personal bio, a little one-liner to share with their counselor. Again, the only people that can see this are the student and counselor. Personal details, we keep their GPA and their scores in here. This is where they add you. Right there at the top, first section, personal details, invite a parent, first name, last name, email. Score invitation will come to you. It takes 60 seconds to make your account. Not even. Your email's already there and you get a password and you now have the same access they do. So it is great. We're loving it. College preferences, you can set your preferences. Score will match you to schools that match your preferences. Whole career assessment, discover your potential. That's truly what it is. They rolled out a new career platform last year and it's fantastic. So that is Score. Number 1 site we recommend for doing their searching. Also, College Board, Princeton Review is great. I love Edward Fisk. He's an author. He writes amazing books about the college process. You're going to find so much out there. A lot of senior parents called me 2 weeks ago. I was on this, here we go, this chat, this blog, this forum with other parents of seniors from all over the country. Folks, stay within our context. Comparing your child's stats to a kid from California is it's going to torture you. Stay within our context, talk to us. Those places, those sites, those Facebook groups, they could drive you wild. They really can. Stick with the context. I like just going to the basic old college websites. The good old .edus are where you're going to get your factual information. Great place to do, like Carly was mentioning, the virtual programming, one of you. There's so much out there to engage and learn about colleges. I would ignore the rankings. There's not a whole lot more I can say about it. U.S. News and World Report, give me the top 20 engineering schools. I can give them to you, but the chance of your student getting into one of them is slim to none because they're the most selective schools across the globe. You don't need rankings. You don't need any top anything. You need what fits your student because that's where they're going to be successful. That's where they're going to retain. That's where they're going to come out happy. So we don't provide top lists. We don't provide any of that. That's a lot of college presidents and provosts just, knocking each other down. Visit when you're ready. In-state. Gosh, we have so much. We have a major state university, which is physically set up quite different than other state universities. So if your student goes on to our state university's campus and they just go to the New Brunswick campus and go, I have to bus around to get around this place, I don't want to go to a big school. They have to realize that not every campus, that flagship university is set up the way Rutgers is. Yes, you probably shouldn't walk on 18. You should take the little shuttles and buses from your bed to your food to your class to your gym. But not every campus is set up that way. Flagship University in Pennsylvania and Maryland, yeah, they have bus systems, but you can get from end to end by foot. You can at Rutgers, and sometimes they visit that and they get really turned off. We still matriculate more students there than any other four-year college in New Jersey. But take them to see it, do the bus tour, it'll give them a good taste of how big campus is. We've got small private schools, we've got mid-sized state universities right down the road, TCNJ a public, Rider a private. Down in South Jersey, you've got Rowan and Stockton, you can see them within a day. Take them up to North Jersey, let them see something a little more densely populated, a little busier like a Montclair or Kane. Take them to a private school like Stevens Institute of Technology and see, gosh, the city's right there. I can be like looking out my dorm room to Manhattan. Let them see what's here. Take them out to the beach to Monmouth. There's just so many good options right here in state. And I encourage picture taking. It's all going to start to run together. If you guys are really starting to take on this visiting thing, it's going to run together. Take a picture of the building, the chapel, the tour guide, write their name down. Because in 2 years, they may not get back there, but they might be applying. And the school's going to say, okay, why Monmouth? In 250 words. And they're going to go, shoot, I saw that one spring break sophomore year. I don't remember. Make it an effort to remember. Write something down, get in the car, talk about it, write it down, keep a notebook, something like that. All right, now I'm going to really start flying through this. Standardized testing, I think we touched on it a little bit. PSATs in October for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade every year. Great practice. They'll get their score back. They can dive into College Board, let them kind of show where they're at, and then they can link up with a free resource like Khan Academy to do some prep. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on SAT and ACT test prep. If you want to, by all means, we've got some great partners here in Hunterdon County. We work closely with them. They're good to our students. They help. But to invest thousands of dollars in test prep when there's so many free resources out there, Khan is fantastic. I highly encourage it. So when to take the test? They take the test when they're individually ready. The bulk of the math SAT is Algebra 2. So look at when they're taking Algebra 2. For some students, that could be senior year. So they'll test midpoint of senior year, and they'll apply to college's regular decision, which is right about now. There's no need to rush it. I'd say the SAT, I still say it is a test meant to be taken more than once. So they'll take it, they'll reevaluate, maybe they'll invest in some prep, maybe they'll do something on their own, take it again. We could spend a lot of time talking about testing, but I think it's important to address the last bullet, and that's that there are so many colleges that are test optional. Pre-pandemic, there were several. There were a lot. Post-pandemic, it's been a major movement. Some are pulling back post-pandemic and saying, no, we want them now. You can test. It's not like it was in 2020 and 2021 where high schools were closed and there were no test centers. You can test, get the test done, and submit your scores. Those schools are requiring them, but we easily have a good number of seniors that applied exclusively test optional to all their colleges because all their colleges were test optional. So what does that mean? That means no scores. That means everything else is getting looked at. The transcript gets a heavy look. How are you doing academically? I don't have that standard measure to compare you to the other 30,000 applicants we have. So we're going to pour everything into what you've got. Just remember, a college is looking at what you give them. You got to give them your best. You got to package it well. That's what we do a lot of our work on here is helping students get to that point senior year to put it all together really well. So when you don't have scores, everything else just gets looked at. So without scores, are you a better applicant, a stronger applicant? That's going to be for us to help students determine. That's a senior year conversation. We won't even bring it up in junior year unless a student says, I am 100% done testing. These are my scores. Okay, we're going to help you start to determine where to send them and not send them. I'm more comfortable helping them make the determination in senior year. Because a lot of times it's like, did you have this massive development in the summer or did you sit around and do nothing in the summer? What do we need to prove you to colleges? What do we need to help build your case? And sometimes I might say, I need you to go back and consider taking the SATs, because other areas are weak. Rarely do I say that, but it's really ideal for us to make that determination with students in senior year. So that's a little bit on testing. When testing is right for your student, there might be a tiny, tiny handful of students who sit for it at the end of sophomore year. Usually they're going to be some of our higher performers. They're in Algebra 2. They don't want to get too far removed from Algebra 2. Could a freshman have taken Algebra 2? Freshmen, yeah, coming out of middle school, super advanced in math. The further and further they get, calc in their head and all the other stuff in their head, the longer the more they're going to miss Algebra 2. So we might see a late sophomore, second half of sophomore year, sit for the SAT to try to score the best in math, and then they'll be a more mature student in English in junior year, sit for it again, super score them. That means pull together your best scores across multiple test dates. So more on that, definitely chat with your counselor. There's a lot we could say with testing. All right, I'm getting near the end here. Just a little bit about paying for college. First of all, we do run a financial aid night every year. It's in October. You can watch last year's. It is on our website, always in October. The financial aid process, hold on a second. It's been a couple weeks. If you watch the news, it's been a rough couple weeks. So the FAFSA got a full overhaul in 2023. A government did a full overhaul on it. Normally the FAFSA would open up October 1 of senior year. You could start filling it out. The FAFSA was promised to us by December 31st. The government did it 24 hours before their last possible moment to do it. They released a FAFSA that was a mess. The issues are endless. Today I sat and I was invited as one of the school counselor leader with a national group to sit in on a very important meeting with Department of Education to talk about how we're going to handle, not we, them, are going to handle this mess that they've created and make recommendations. When the FAFSA rolled out, it had issues. Our seniors are scrambling. Some cannot fill it out successfully. The issues are endless. Basically, I mean, if I have any student whose parent is undocumented and they simply can't continue with it. They will not let students proceed without social security numbers. It's messy. To top it off, the few who've gotten through and filed a FAFSA for the 24-25 school year, it's sitting and holding. Colleges have absolutely no view of student FAFSA. They've admitted thousands of students. Colleges found out last week that they will not be seeing FAFSAs for current seniors until the middle of March at the absolute earliest. I don't know how much you know about the college process, but the national enrollment deadline date is May 1. So here we are 6 weeks before the national enrollment date, or will be, and students will have absolutely no idea how much money they're getting from colleges. How can you possibly make an informed decision? And to top of that off, mid-March is when they're going to start pushing the FAFSAs out to the colleges. The government, colleges need 2 weeks to verify the data, so they won't even begin building packages for students until April with a national enrollment deadline date of May 1. So you can get a sense of what things might be like for us in the spring when students simply can't even make a decision on a college because they have absolutely no idea how much money they're getting. I hope it's worked out by the time you guys come up and all is well. I mean, we just found out a month ago that starting next year, supposedly, I don't know how this is going to possibly fly, but the FAFSA completion will be a requirement for New Jersey State graduation, high school graduation. You can't even get through it right now. So I don't know where Jersey's going with that, but these are the things that keep me up at night because I love what I do and I'm really passionate about it, and it drives me crazy when things are not accessible for students who need it most. However, you can become familiar with the FAFSA website if you wish. You can play around with the net price calculators. Every college is required to have a net price calculator or an MPC on their website. You can just type in any school. You can get right to their net price calculator, plug in your numbers, get an early estimate of how much aid you might receive. But I'll tell you, it's an interesting time to be in financial aid at the college level. Loans, you pay back. Grants, you do not. Scholarships, you do not. Loans are given out based on family's need. Grants are given out based on family's need. Scholarships are typically given out on merit. Again, you pay back loans. You do not pay back grants and scholarships. There's money out there. I tell the seniors every year, we're going to open up our largest scholarship program of the year in 2 days. Our local scholarship program, $150,000, $160,000 worth of money straight from this community. It's a really wonderful program. There's money out there. They have to put in the work. And seniors get tired this time of year. So keep that in mind, freshmen and sophomores. They get tired senior year in the winter. I don't want to write another essay. I don't want to do another application. Then you're not going to get the money, but there's money out there. I hope this financial aid mess is worked out in the next 12 to 24 months. Ask colleges about their return on investment. Make it tough for them. This is what they're supposed to deliver. They're supposed to deliver something and give your child something at the end of the 4 years. Your child's going to put work in, but what are your outcomes? Is everyone going to grad school? Are people getting jobs? What kind of things are going on with career preparation? Is someone going to help my student with mock interviewing? Do you have job fairs? Do the big companies come out? Quiz them. Ask them when you go on campus. Ask them the tough stuff. And students, if they're really looking for big scholarship money, it's going to come from their more probable schools where they are at the top of the applicant pool. Students are not going to get into their reach with money. That's just not reality. They're going to get into their probables, the schools where they're at the top of the pool, where we had a good shot at getting in. That's where they're going to see the money. And we repeat that over and over, especially in junior year. I just hit home with that. If you truly want your college costs to come down, the bulk of the money is going to come from the institution, the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year scholarship, but you've got to be at the top of the pool. So you're not going to get into the big elite selective school with money. It's just not going to work that way. So they've got to consider their probable schools, and I'll be repeating that, but I think it's good too, if you're talking money as transparently with your student, that, okay, maybe we need to look at some lesser tier schools if we want to get our best bang for our buck, which I will say is right here in New Jersey. We just have so many good options here. Okay, a little sampling of what's coming up. So the counselors meet with their students all throughout the year. There's always something they're delivering. It could be start of the year, getting the year kicked off. It could be a scheduling meeting. It could be groups. There's always meetings. Please encourage your child When that pass comes, go to the meeting. If you can't make it, send your counselor a little email. Can we reschedule? They will see their counselor multiple times a year. Here are some events coming up, and these are big ones. These are absolutely for 9th and 10th grade families. You will get information about both of these. March 19th, Tuesday night, 6:30 to 8:30 is the Hunterdon County College Fair. We proudly host that event here. We have been hosting the Hunterdon County College Fair for over 50 years, and we're the only college fair in Hunterdon County in the spring. There will be some other ones at nearby counties and high schools. I'll push that out to our students just so they have it. But we welcome high school students. You'll come to the college fair, you'll see kids from other local high schools because it's a big event. 6:30 to 8:30, Tuesday, March 19th, down on the 11-12 campus. It's set up all through the commons and all through the hallways. We're expecting about 140, 150 schools. Lots of information coming out about that. Our admissions panel is a virtual event, so you can log on to that from home. It's a webinar style. I have 4 out of 5 of my panelists confirmed. I love this event. I think that's a Wednesday, April 17th, 6:30, live on Zoom. You can always watch the recording later. I bring on admission deans, directors, people from schools you've heard of that read our applications, and I'm going to ask them tough questions. I love it. And they're honest. It's great information. I don't know why we don't get a bigger turnout for that event. I don't know if it's spring sports. I moved it to a Wednesday this year. It is so valuable. People come off that event, they write me emails, go, wow, that was eye-opening. So now you get to hear from the people on the other side of the desk. It really is a great event. What we're doing tonight is early college planning night, 9th and 10th grade. So the second segment of this will be junior year. Now, if you're a 9th grade parents night, certainly come back next year. I'm sure I'll have another story to share. But in junior year, your night is in January. Okay, so early college planning night is typically December, got pushed this year to February, but junior college planning night, where we really start to get into the process, is usually always around mid-January. Senior college planning night is always in September, usually within the first 2 weeks of the school year. So keep an eye open. If you're a sophomore family, junior college planning night will be January of junior year, senior college planning night, September of senior year. And that's when we start to pull the students out of class, is junior year and senior year, full block groups. What we did with the freshmen was kind of a little sampling, but junior and senior year, we really get into it. We just met with the whole junior class in January. We align it with the night program. And then once the school year starts, I pull all seniors down that are college bound, and we do a full block session on applying. So things really start to amp up and pick up in junior and senior year. That's also when we allow students to come out of class excused to meet with college reps. That's our college visit program. It runs every year from mid-September to the end of November, and we host typically about 120 schools for daytime visits. So the college reps come here. Students sign up for those on SCORE. That's juniors and seniors only. I will address, because I saw a question come through when I was took a break over there. Someone asked, are freshmen excused for college visits? So remember, we've got visits going out and visits coming in. The reps that come to Central, that's juniors and seniors only. Going out to a college campus on your own with your family, taking an excused day, that is also only juniors and seniors. We do not excuse 9th and 10th graders for college visits. It's a privilege. It will come to them in junior and senior year. But by all means, 9th and 10th grade families use the days we have off, holidays, breaks, and summer. And then I mentioned also we have our financial aid nights. So lots of programming coming up. All right. Students, I can't reiterate it enough. Make it a good habit. Check your email every day. So important. We send out really important things. Parents, you get the listservs. Obviously, you were here tonight. And keep an eye on our website. A lot of the things I referenced tonight, this is the college and career page. This is how you get to it. If you hover over counseling here on the Hunterdon Central website, it's the second option. Just go right down to college and career. Lots of the different things I run, the programs are all embedded in here. Lots of our night programs. We have a full YouTube station where we have all of our counseling programs, and so many other Hunterdon Central things are posted. There's me talking to the senior parents. There's our financial aid night, last year's early college planning, whatever you want, it's all in there, all right? Whew, I am gonna stop. I am going to take questions. I'm going to check and see what's come in. I'll do a couple minutes. Anybody here? Anything coming up for you? Don't be shy. All right, let's see what's coming in from home. But if you guys think of anything, by all means ask. You can also use the link. But we'll see if anything came in from home here. All right. Maybe not. All right, anything out here? Let's see. unless it's frozen. I have nothing. Someone ask a question. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. So, absolutely. Absolutely. So the question was, for those of you from home or couldn't hear it, down in the South, the ACT was the more predominant test. When I started doing this almost 19, 20 years ago, it was still. That has really changed. I would say colleges, from a universal standpoint, take either one. Now, down south and in the Midwest, I do think the ACT is more predominant. Like my colleagues in Midwestern high schools and Southern high schools are like, we give the ACT, during the day, and everyone takes it, or it's a graduation requirement. So it still kind of lingers like that, but no, Southern schools are not preferring one over the other, and definitely post-pandemic with things being test optional, it was like you get your hands on whatever test you can take. So students are fine with either. SAT versus ACT. The best way I can explain it, SAT is a reasoning test. It's the one that makes you think. It's the one that kind of tricks you. Two of these answers look right. Which one could it be? The thinking test. ACT is content. It's a content-based test. That's like the test they might take in the classroom. What you know and what you don't know, and you answer it and you move on. So, and it's a speedy test too. You've really got to be able to run through those sections quickly. Most of our students, I would say, begin with an SAT. It's just kind of been the norm here. But you might sit for it, and a student might go, I heard that ACT, it's a little more direct, and I don't like to be tricked. I'm kind of that direct. Give me what 2 + 2 is 4. I don't want to have to think about the 4. It's just 4. That's the ACT test taker. So it's fine to do both. They are separate entities. If a student does one better on one versus the other, we only send the best, and the school would never find out about the other one. So I say lean SAT first, but the ACT is absolutely an option, and colleges take either one that are accepting scores. Great question. I'm frozen here. Yes, did you have a question? Mm-hmm. 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 Sure. Yeah, there is definitely kind of a typical time to take the test. So you've got your outliers that might test end of sophomore year because academically they're ready. I would say the vast majority have taken at least one attempt by the end of junior year. The majority. But we do have our students who math-wise would not do well if they are not at the math level they need to be at for the SAT, so they're going to test sometime in the first half of senior year. But I would say the majority of students, would you all agree, are giving it a first attempt by the end of junior year. And then there's going to be a handful who might be done by the end of junior year. But the majority are taking it at least once by the end of junior year. And this is really where you have to be careful. So you guys aren't junior parents. You've got time to think about it. But there's no SATs in January and February. So if you're a junior who's like ready, you might take it December of junior year, and then there's a break, and it picks back up again in March. And then it hits again in May and June, and you're like, oh, spring weekends, we've got a spring athlete, we've got prom, we've got AP exams, and suddenly those Saturdays aren't available. So you really do need it. The schedule for the next year, if you're a sophomore family tonight, the 24-25 schedule, I'm almost certain is available. You can start to project out when it's available. The August test date came in maybe 5 or 6 years ago. That one's really popular. It's almost always the last Saturday of August. Seniors, it's like a last-ditch effort. I want to get this thing out of the way one more time, and for some it's their first, because it really varies. But spring semester junior year is when most are giving it a first try. December junior year, March junior year. I was looking at the stats, like our May administration is big. Our June administration is very big. That's a big one, right, Danielle? I would say that gets a lot. Our August administration is big. Oh, the registration usually closes about 4 to 5 weeks before the test. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dates are out, yeah. You won't be able to register for all of them that far in advance, but your registration will cut off about 4 to 5 weeks in advance before you get hit with a late fee. Yeah, great question. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. Well, so the question's about just kind of looking at maybe some non-college options, looking at different potential trades, certificate programs. I'll say I think we've embraced that movement pretty well here. I mean, we have implemented even more programming and non-college options. I'll start first with two-year college because we do send about 15 to 18% of the class to community college. The relationship we have with our local community college, Raritan Valley, is really, really strong. I mean, we bring them in a couple times a year between visits. Application workshop is coming up in a couple weeks for seniors to apply. College fair, they're here a lot. And then divisions of RVCC will come and talk to our Educational Opportunity Fund, our Spanish-speaking students. There's so many avenues with RVCC. We're really tied in with them. But then we get into the trades. We bring Polytech adult education in to speak to our students twice a year. We bring in different employers. We bring in first responders. We have a firefighter day, a military day. We're running our very first March 27th, the Wednesday before spring break, very first Hunterdon Central, career and service learning, I should know that, career and service learning fair being run by a multifaceted group of staff members, just to expose students to different job placements. Websites, sir, I can't think of any one off the top of my head at the moment, but I would say that really should be a conversation with the counselor because we all have a toolbox. Like we can say, oh, you're thinking heavy machinery? Let's go down the line of where we can get you that here in New Jersey. You're thinking welding, you're thinking auto mechanics, you're thinking HVAC construction. I mean, so much is at Hunterdon County Polytech. They're phenomenal, but there's a lot of other opportunities too. And it is absolutely not a path for everyone. And I have seniors who went through this whole process in January, February, March of senior year said, I'm not doing college. You know what? I found this. This is it for me. Maybe I'll take a gap year. Maybe I'll ask for a semester or year of deferment. But we absolutely have lots of conversations here about non-college options. 70% of our students go to four-year college. That's a lot of students who are not going. So we've really added a lot of new programming in to meet those students where they are. I'll take one more question and we'll get you guys out of here for the night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. So I want to address two parts of your question because you mentioned, we talk about things colleges are looking at, academics and activities. And I will say, I don't put that slide in this program. It comes up in junior and senior year. They're looking at so much more than that too. I mean, there's college essays, there's letters of recommendation, there's interest. There's so many other factors that go into a decision that I'll talk about more in upperclassmen year. So I want to address that first. The other question, where did it go? It just left my mind. The activities before high school. Do colleges consider activities before high school? Typically, no. We're talking about things happening grades 9 through 12. However, if you've been a Girl Scout since kindergarten, that needs to be included. If you've been playing the violin since 5th grade, that needs to be included. If you've been babysitting the neighborhood kids since you were 12, that has to be mentioned. Longevity is so important. So yes, if you've been doing something for a while, you'll fit in your little teeny tiny box on your college apps that I have found ways to use every character very wisely. These guys know that's a big part of what I do with seniors. You'll say since age 12, since age 6, but no, we're not giving 8th grade accolades or 7th grade accolades, things like that. So. All right, folks, thank you for coming out. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, thank you for tuning in from home. Sorry if I didn't miss your questions, but your counselors are a fantastic resource. Please be in touch with them. Safe travels home, everyone. Thank you.